This is Informer News, your voice of the people. Timeline is Monday the 3rd of June 2013. Welcome along my friends to another edition of Informer News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, a startling truth reveals our Earth is hollow, plus Nibiru Planetechs, the truth behind the total clampdown on the public ever knowing the truth regarding this inbound object. And also the latest Star Trek movie has a planet in it named Nibiru. And another asteroid comes close to the Earth. If this had impacted us, it would have caused an extinction level event. Okay, into this week's news. This first report originates from somethingblue.hubpages.com and is titled Hollow Earth Theory, the greatest kept secret of all times. The subject of Hollow Earth to me is fascinating, and until recently I didn't give it much thought. But due in large part to the information highway, I decided it was time to investigate. After researching this topic, it became clear to me that the Hollow Earth theory is the greatest kept secret of all times. Or is it? The amount of disinformation on this topic is truly staggering. I consider myself to be pretty open-minded, but the concept that our planet is hollow with an energy source in the centre was pretty far-fetched even for me. However, one of my pet peeves is contempt prior to investigation, and so I did what any good researcher would do. I googled it. I got 3,750,000 sites in 11 seconds. Where to begin? Obviously, I wasn't going to have a problem with finding information on the subject. The Hollow Earth theory has been mentioned many times in various books on ancient man that I have read over the years, so I went back and found those book sources and began reading. Journey to the Earth Interior by Marshall B. Gardner is actually 2 books and explores the nebula theory of Planet X creation and the many Arctic explorations up to 1915 when the book was written. It chronicles explorers of the far north and their discoveries, some of which never made it to the history books, including the massive supply of woolly mammoth tusks that have been found on the coast that seems to replenish themselves. It gives us a clear look at what was known about the Hollow Earth theory almost 100 years ago from a layman's point of view. Genesis for the New Age by John B. Leaf, a book written but never published that used primarily all government documentations through the Freedom of Information Act and officials brave enough to come forward. This book is available online through Scribe and is well worth the read. It documents the early round-winged aircraft known as Foo Fighters by the Allied pilots in World War II and the apparent inventor. It goes on to talk about the Hollow Earth theory as if it is a well-known fact among many government entities, and the fact that the Third Reich was in contact with the Agartha, the main country in Hollow Earth, and that Hitler was allowed to live out his days there and died in 1973. It shows that many governments on our planet have been in contact with those that live inside and yet decided for our own safety we should be kept in the dark. Sounds familiar. This next book, titled Message from Hollow Earth by Diane Robbins, is more of a spiritual message of hope from humans that live under Mount Shasta in the city of Telos and from Agartha inside Hollow Earth. Although they also refer to pole shifts and flooding, diseases and famine, they also offer hope and want to assure the human race that they will be there to help us pick up the pieces. They claim that once a race achieves a certain spiritual level of existence, they move from one dimension to the next, which is what the Earth is about to do. In the process, the poles are going to shift dramatically, causing much destruction. More advanced civilizations, due to edicts and laws, councils of worlds that govern their actions, are unable to interfere. This includes the Telosians and inner Earth inhabitants. The Hollow Earth theory has been mentioned by Jesus in the Bible. I believe in the story of Lazarus was part of much controversy surrounding Admiral Byrd's Arctic exploration. was referred to in ancient Egypt mythology, also in connected to ancient Sumerian texts. The no-fly zones over both poles may have worked during the Cold War era, but I see no reason to keep the restrictions in place now, including the true nature of gravity. The northern lights, or aurora borealis, can easily be explained as lights from the inner sun radiating out from the opening in the North Pole, which NASA carefully photoshops to keep the public from seeing it in pictures of Earth from space. With a no-fly zone in place, this cannot be verified independently. It seems to me a lot of careful manipulation of the truth has been done to create the picture that the whole concept is fantasy, and yet I got over 3 million references to it when I Google it. Things that make you go, In many of the books they refer to instances where the inhabitants have tried to communicate their concerns with the many governments of the world, and even went as far as signing treaties and agreements and exchanged technology in an effort to create peace. The fact that so many cultures worldwide have these myths and legends concerning the hollow earth theory is reason enough to dig a little deeper. Myths and legends are often found to be steeped in the truth of events that ancient man simply did not have the words for. How would an ancient man explain a cell phone or a car, and then have an archaeologist try to decipher the meaning 5,000 years later? See what I mean? Telos, an ancient city created and lived in by the ancient Lemurian civilization at around the destruction of their civilization in the Pacific 10,000 years ago. Knowing of the coming pole shift in advance, they went about moulding and shaping the interior of Mount Shasta, the natural volcanic cavity often found in dormant volcanoes. First they redirected the lava flow towards the Pacific Ocean, and then went about enlarging the natural cavities created by the lava. This advanced civilization has lived underneath the mountain in peaceful cohabitation with surface dwellers as well as hollow earth inhabitants. Their advanced technology allows them to monitor our progress without revealing their presence. In Deanna Robbins' simple titled book Telos, in which she channels information from these inhabitants, explains their willingness to help, but due to the laws that govern non-interference with developing civilizations, are unable to do anything but provide information. Because of the nature of this information, many of us on the surface are simply unwilling to even consider the truth. The video archive produced by Sharula Dux, a supposed Telosian living with us on the surface, also explains the complexities of the situation. I have always subscribed to the theory of hiding in plain sight in the safest way to safeguard any secrets. What better way to live than inside the earth, where the temperature is always constant, the air is not polluted and the water pure, where weather is not a factor and disease has been eradicated. Imagine what might be accomplished with 10,000 years of peace and the advancements of technologies uninterrupted by constant wars, disease, famine and bad weather. The science. When I say the earth is hollow, what exactly do I mean? Consider the possibility that as the planet formed, the nebula theory from the gases of the universe around a star, both the star and gas collapses in on itself until it gradually formed a sphere around a now much smaller star. This sphere, due to gravitational forces, formed vortexes at the poles, and as they tried to meet in the centre were pushed away by the star and created a bubble with two openings on either pole. So as the Earth's crust solidified, what happened to the outside happened to the inside. The inside of the planet would create a perfect environment for life to start, as weather would not be an issue. The dimensions that the crust is basically 400 to 800 miles thick, depending on what source you choose to believe. And since the Earth is almost 8,000 miles wide in diameter, that leaves roughly 7,200 to 6,400 miles. The Sun, or smoky god, is roughly 600 miles in diameter, which leaves 6,600 to 5,800 miles divided in half, would leave 3,300 or 2,900 miles on either side of the interior Sun. That is a lot of hollow space. The openings at either pole are so wide, 1,400 miles, that a person sailing into it would never even be aware or see the hole as it is so vast. Even Admiral Byrd didn't realise that he was flying into a hole. Consider that Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, meaning they were exiled to the surface, to live out their now mortal lives and become the originators of our race. What better way to create a planet than to allow it to mimic the most simple cells? Every cell has a nuclei and an outer wall or crust, with the interior being hollow. Hollow Earth, greatest kept secret of all times, or is it, barely scratches the surface of this intriguing mystery. Yet because so many people from so many cultures from every epoch of time have stories about it, then can we so easily dismiss them as myths? This next report originates from www.latimes.com and is titled Dark Massive Asteroid to Fly by Earth on May the 31st by Deborah Nedburn, May the 17th, 2013. It's 1.7 miles long. Its surface is covered in a sticky black substance similar to the gunk at the bottom of the barbecue. If it impacts Earth, it would probably result in global extinction. Good thing is, it's just making a flyby. Asteroid 1998 QE2 will make its closest pass to Earth on May the 31st at 1:59 PM PDT. Scientists are not sure whether this unusually large space rock, which was discovered 15 years ago, originated from, but the mysterious sooty substance on its surface could indicate it may be the result of a comet that flew too close to the Sun, said Amy Meiser, who tracks near-Earth objects at Jet Propulsion Laboratory in LA, Canada, Flint's Ridge. It might also have leaked out of the asteroid belt between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, she said. This next report originates from somethingblue.pages.com and is titled Nibiru Planet X, May 19, 2013, Star Trek Moon Meteor, Impact and Volcanoes. The latest Star Trek movie has a planet in it named Nibiru. While it doesn't try to explain what is known about this planet through ancient texts and scientific discovery, the fact that the director would even mention it shows that those in the know are trying to get the word out to the public. In this article, Nibiru Planet X, May 19, 2013, Star Trek Moon Meteors, Impact and Volcanoes, I will show how other stories in the news also reveal the presence of Nibiru in our solar system, despite the media blackout on the subject. Dozens of TV shows and movies have tried to make the public aware of this planet. The show The Event goes so far as to reveal its history in connection to current events. In the show, which takes place in America, the president is an African American who is convinced that revealing to the public that the existence of EBs, extraterrestrial biological entities, currently reside on our planet and have for a very long time, is the right thing to do. He is met with much resistance from inside his cabinet and from the EBs themselves. Assassination attempts are made on his life, and yet in the final episode the planet itself is revealed to all bold as day in our skies. The series is then explicably cancelled without doing any more damage to the cover-up of Nibiru Planet X. Needless to say, this series mirrors many of the obstacles the current administration is facing, as it too tries to reveal the presence of Nibiru Planet X, contrary to the executive order put in place by the Reagan administration 30 years ago, even to the point of the assassination attempts. This next report originates from www.greatdreams.com and is titled Pole Shift, Update 31st of March 2013. A major news magazine, US News and World Reports, describes NASA's discovery of what was identified as a probable brown dwarf, which by definition is conservatively estimated to be as massive as 1,000 Earths combined. NASA's own documents name this massive object Planet X, even before it had been sighted by the infrared astronomical satellite IRIS. Before they were muzzled, NASA astronomers publicly stated their beliefs that Planet X is a dwarf star, which by definition is conservatively estimated to be as massive as 1,000 Earths. Persistent publicity would have disturbed the mass psyche, thus undermining the ruling elite's world financial power structure. Therefore, the ruling elite have long since ordered that Planet X be a forbidden subject within its sanitizing. Therefore, the ruling elite have long since ordered that Planet X be a forbidden subject within its sanitizing, propagandizing news media. Forbidden until now, 3 full decades after its discovery. You see, they can no longer conceal today's painful reality that Earth is reeling from a steady barrage of geological and meteorological body blows. And so the H2 History Channel and the Weather Channel, to their credit, are breaking it to us gently. In the context of it might exist, it could happen. What the public has not been told, however, is that the decade-long litany of global geological meteorological calamities is caused by Planet X provoked solar excitation to minimize mass death and suffering. The peoples of the world must be alerted to that they can physically and spiritually prepare themselves, because disasters will worsen as Planet X nears its gravitational loop around rendezvous with our sun. Merely telling the public it might happen will not motivate people to prepare. Actually, they will be stubbornly denied the eventuality of any terrifying peril which is presented to them as being improbable, because man wants to believe what he likes and to reject what he dislikes. Either we present the factual evidence that the gravity is inexorably pulling this dwarf star towards our sun, or else the public will remain unaware of this approaching peril. And this final news in brief originates from the extinctionprotocol.wordpress.com. And all these reports were posted on the 20th of May 2013. Kansas, tornadoes touched down in 3 states on Sunday, ripping roofs off homes and turning trees to matchsticks. As severe weather swept the region, a large, violent and extremely dangerous tornado was spotted on the southwest side of Wichita, Kansas. The National Weather Service said a second confirmed tornado was seen near Edmond, Oklahoma, said the Weather Service. Another tornado was spotted in nearby Luther, Oklahoma, but it was not immediately clear whether that was the same twister. A third tornado touched down near Wellston, Oklahoma, taking out power lines and damaging several homes, according to video from CNN affiliates K4. Santiago, Chile. The US Geological Survey says a magnitude 6.5 earthquake has struck off the coast of Chile. The quake was recorded at 5:49 a.m. local time EDT 0949 GMT Monday at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers, some 600 kilometers from the city of Puerto Quelón. Space. In the last 24 hours, the AMS has received confirmed reports about 4 unique fireball events, all occurring near 4:00 a.m. UTC time. The most recent event occurred in Arkansas and Missouri on May the 19th near 3:37 UTC. Distance between these 2 locations would inhibit witnesses from observing the same fireball from both locations. On May the 18th, 2 large fireball meteors were also spotted within an hour of each other, one over the central east coast and another in Colorado, AMS. Taipei, Taiwan. The only H7N9 patient so far in Taiwan was carrying 2 strains of the same virus, with one being drug resistant and the other not, making it tricky to treat, doctors said. Wang Li Min, a doctor from National Taiwan University Hospital, UTUH, explains that it was possible the avian flu virus was not drug resistant when the patient was first infected, but mutated later to become resistant to Tamiflu. Israel. Syria has put its most advanced missiles on standby, with orders to hit Tel Aviv if Israel launches another strike on its territory. The Sunday Times reported overnight Sunday, according to the British newspaper, reconnaissance satellites have been monitoring preparations by the Syrian army to deploy surface-to-surface Tishin missiles. The Sunday Times said the deployment of the Syrian-made Tishin missiles, each of which can carry a half-ton payload, marks a significant escalation of tension in the region, in which the United States and Russia appear to be preparing for a Cold War style standoff. Finally, Tamakaka, a massive earthquake swarm has occurred in the region of Petrovarsky-Kamchatsky, Russia. More than 20 earthquakes have struck the region in the last 22 hours, the strongest of which was a 5.9 magnitude earthquake, which rattled the seafloor at a depth of 16.5 kilometers deep. The latest seismic flare-up along the region reflects growing agitation on one of the planet's largest tectonic plates, the Pacific Plate. Increasing seismic volatility along this region of Kamchatka could have serious ramifications for every tectonic plate that comes into contact with the Pacific Plate, from the South Pacific to South America. A similar, more intense earthquake swarm occurred along the periphery of the Pacific Plate near the Santa Cruz Islands in February of this year. Is the Pacific Plate on the verge of a large-scale change? Okay, my friends, you're all invited to join this channel by subscribing to End Times 23, which is a totally free subscription service. You're also invited to add me as a friend on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, both the links under this video. All this week's news links can be found on my website, endtimes23.com. The link is under this video. Just click on the link and go to the top left hand corner of the opening page and click on Informer News links. You'll find all this week's news links at the top of the page under this week's titled video. Well, that's your lot for this week, my friends. I do hope you enjoyed the show. I'll be back with you in a week's time with another edition of Cosmic News. So until then, this is your Informer signing off. Friends, I'll see you on the flip side. Obviously, I wasn't going to have a problem with finding information on the subject. The hollow earth theory has been mentioned many times in various books on ancient man that I have read over the years, so I went back and found those book sources and began reading. Journey to the Earth Interior by Marshall B. Gardner is actually 2 books and explores the nebula theory of Planet X creation and the many Arctic explorations up to 1915 when the book was written. This is Informer News, your voice of the people. Timeline is Monday the 3rd of June 2013. Into this week's news. This first report originates from somethingblue.hubpages.com and is titled Hollow Earth Theory, the greatest kept secret of all times. The subject of Hollow Earth to me is fascinating, and until recently I didn't give it much thought. but due in large part to the information highway, I decided it was time to investigate. After researching this topic, it became clear to me that the hollow earth theory is the greatest kept secret of all times. Or is it? The amount of disinformation on this topic is truly staggering. I consider myself to be pretty open-minded, but the concept that our planet is hollow with an energy source in the centre was pretty far-fetched even for me. However, one of my pet peeves is content prior to investigation, and so I did what any good researcher would do. I googled it. I got 3,750,000 sites in 11 seconds. Where to begin? The team. Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of Informer News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, the startling truth reveals our Earth is hollow, plus Nibiru Planetech's the truth behind the total clampdown on the public ever knowing the truth regarding this inbound object, and also the latest Star Trek movie has a planet in it named Nibiru, and another asteroid comes close to the Earth. If this had impacted us, it would have caused an extinction level event. Okay.